Okay, so it's, what day is it? October 14th. And we're gonna watch the eclipse with these fun glasses.
Madre, aquí no hay ni una nube.
Okay guys, today is kind of a fun day, fun little weekend. It's the solar eclipse, and where we are in Mexico you can kind of see it. So we went to go get glasses this morning and we're gonna watch it from our rooftop, and then later today we're gonna go drive to Chichen Itza, where I've never been before, and they have like a light show and a bunch of stuff. So I'm really excited to go because, yeah, like I've said, I've never been there before. I hope you guys can hear me. But yeah, so this is kind of gonna be a Chichen Itza / solar eclipse vlog. So hope you enjoy it. And I'll show you like the hotel where we're staying, like the car that we rent, and like all the information about like how much tickets are. And yeah, we'll show you around. So hope that you guys enjoy this one, and yeah, let's just enjoy the weekend, shall we? Okay, side note, everyone. These things are the work of the devil. All right? Hate them. See you later. Okay, now the lighting is getting super weird. No thanks to that moon up there doing the most. I tried to sit out in the pool while the eclipse happened so I could become a mermaid, but alas, still have legs. But it could happen tomorrow. That's what happened in the show. Tomorrow morning, if I take a shower and I fall and I say, oh no, you know what happened. All right, just quickly packed for our little trip. Just got some pajamas, a couple of swimsuits. One of them I'm gonna wear underneath my like cover-up dress thing that I'm gonna wear, and then I just have a couple of like comfy outfits just in case I want to, I guess, dress comfy on the way home. So I'm gonna pack this up, and then gonna paint my nails before we go also. The torta that Sergio and I shared. Here's our car we rented to take on our trip. We went to Soriana to grab some quick snacks before hitting the road. The bag is secured. We started our trip to the town of Piste, where our hotel was located. It was about a 2-hour drive from Playa del Carmen using the new toll roads. Here we believe are the tracks that are part of the new train that's going to be servicing the Yucatan Peninsula, and it's supposed to open in December 2023. From what I've read, it's going to connect the most popular destinations and archaeological sites and ruins in the Yucatan and neighboring states. We'll touch on the tolls later, but this road is very clean, safe, but it's also pretty expensive to drive on. Chichen Itza is located near a town called Piste. There's a very popular cenote here as well called Iquil. When we rolled into Piste, I was expecting almost like an Anaheim or Las Vegas, but Piste was just an authentic Yucatan town. There were some hotels for guests traveling to Chichen Itza, but for the most part, you wouldn't be able to tell Piste is 5 minutes away from one of the most popular tourist attractions of Mexico. We stayed at the Hotel Chichen Itza, and wow, it was so charming, very traditional, and very close to the site. Room tour. Oh look, we have, my mom would love this.
What?
We have 2 beautiful portraits of children above. Nice. To watch over us as we sleep.
Very traditional. Cutie.
Quickly drove to the site to buy our tickets for their night show. We would recommend buying your tickets earlier in the evening, and I'll go into more details later. Before the light show, we walked to dinner, which was across the street from our hotel. It was called Las Mestizas, and the menu featured foods authentic to the Yucatan area of Mexico. The dinner we had was so good, and we experienced wonderful service for a really good price.
6 o'clock gonna start. Well, I guess we're 1 hour ahead. Right? 1 hour
Behind.
It's 5 o'clock and like pitch black.
Okay, what did you get?
We've got a very traditional sausage here. Very traditional Mexican sausage called organiza. Similar to chorizo. A little different, a little twisted.
Okay, and I got sopa de limon, so let's give it a go. This is the first bite. An update, the soup is to die.
We drove back to the site of Chichen Itza at around 6:30, and at 7 they let us in to look at the major hotspots in the main area of the property, and they were all lit up. We took our seats at about 7:30 and waited for our show to begin.
Las claras noches de Yucatán los dejaban observar a sus guías, los astros.
Unfortunately, none of the cameras I had were really able to pick up on the light show. I have some thoughts about this entire experience, which I'll touch on later, but the production quality of the show was incredible. The Nights of Culiacan was a 30-minute light and sound show in the central and main attraction of the Chichen Itza site. The show details Mayan theories and just how impressive the civilization was. I'll play a little bit of audio in the small amount of footage I managed to capture now, and the presentation is in Spanish, but the images and music were so entertaining and it's fairly easy to follow along.
Creció un árbol y se convirtió en la ceiba sagrada maya. Después de crear el mundo, los dioses reflexionaron. Había llegado el tiempo del amanecer, de crear a aquellos que los habrían de sustentar y nutrir. Era el tiempo de que apareciera el hombre sobre la superficie de la tierra.
Okay, so we just got home and it was really cool. We'll detail everything later tomorrow on the drive home, but we are back in the room. I turned on a Christmas movie that's on in Spanish, so just gonna go to bed and I'll catch you guys tomorrow. We're going swimming. And I have Ziki. Good morning. Good morning. Wow, look at that one. Baby girl.
The next day, after we took our 6 a.m. swim and we had an amazing breakfast, we headed off to the site around 8:30. Getting there early was key. We felt like we had the place to ourselves. This is the court for the Mayan ball game. The ball game was more ceremonial ritual than a sport. There is a singular acoustic phenomenon peculiar to the ball game court. If one speaks in the temple in the southern end, the voice can be heard at the opposite end as the sound reverberates along the walls of the north temple. I'll link an article that details more about the features of the ball game and the carvings featured on the side walls. The Pyramid of Kukulkan was designed with so much detail and intention. It's incredible that they were able to manage to do this without today's technology. Some may say aliens helped out, but in all seriousness, the pyramid contains 2 smaller ones inside and features quite the impressive feat on the 2 equinoxes. This is the Temple of Venus, which was used for rituals, ceremonies, or sacrifices. There are incredibly intricate carvings that donned several important symbols to the Mayans.
King of the jungle right there. Literally just read a plaque about how the lizards and the serpents would eat human hearts. I think that's what he's here for.
These columns are referred to as the Thousand Columns Group, which used to hold up the roof of what they believed to be a grand meeting hall. Truly intricate details were just everywhere. It's incredible to think that these carvings and structures have lasted this long, and they were all around us. I can only imagine what they still have left to discover in the Yucatan Peninsula. There were 2 cenotes you could visit at the Chichen Itza site. As the only source of water for animals and humans, Mayan held cenotes in great admiration, building their cities and temples around them, and believing they were a connection between life and death. The first cenote I showed you is one that I used as a water source, while the other was used for rituals, and artifacts from all over Central America, as well as bones of adults and children, have been found at the bottom.
I hope you enjoyed the vlog. I just wanted to take some video and footage of our trip since it was a really cool experience, and I wanted to kind of like share what we did, how we did it. So I just figured I would put this in at the end. I'm gonna do my makeup actually. I'm multitasking. I figured I would do a little end clip because we actually never ended up talking about our trip in the car on the way back. But there was a few things I wanted to touch on and share. So if you are planning a trip soon to Chichen Itza, then I don't know, maybe these tips will help you. So first I wanted to kind of say like the highlight of the trip was I mean, of course, like it's such a beautiful place that has so much history, and it was really cool to see, you know, this place that's like considered a wonder of the world. Like it was truly, truly beautiful. So I'm just gonna kind of touch on a few things. First, we rented a car. We're currently in Playa del Carmen, Mexico, which is about 2 hours. I think I said that in the video. It's about 2 hours from Chichen Itza, driving, and it was a really nice drive, and the roads were really nice. They just opened up, I'm not sure how long ago they opened it up, but they opened up the private toll roads pretty recently, I think. The private toll roads were super nice, it cut the time down by a lot. The free road goes through like a bunch of towns and stuff, and I think it's like 3 hours, so taking the private toll roads cut our time down significantly, which is very nice. They're very nicely paved. There's you know, they're protected. I felt safe. Like there really wasn't many people on the road. So I highly recommend if you're traveling in Mexico, like driving, to take the roads. The only thing is that they are toll roads and they're kind of expensive. So we hit 2 tolls on the way to Chichen Itza. We had to pay twice, and total we had to pay like 350 pesos each way. So that's like 700 pesos. So it was gonna be that expensive. We were like, oh, it's a toll road, you know, whatever. But we didn't really realize that it was gonna be that much. So definitely, I mean, in Chichen Itza, there's several ATMs at the actual site, but there's one ATM in town. But I would just highly recommend before leaving, just making sure you have enough cash. That was the main kind of crazy theme of the trip, actually, was like the amount of cash that we spent. It kind of added up to be kind of an expensive day and a half because of just a lot of the little costs that we had to pay, which is why I'm kind of doing this like end clip, just to kind of let you guys know that. So what we were kind of thinking, maybe next time if we came, we would do like a tour bus, or the ADO bus takes you to Chichen Itza. Probably on the ADO bus you could probably do like 2 one-ways or like a round trip, but then schedule it for the next day, and they pick you up and drop you off at the actual Chichen Itza site. And none of the hotels in Piste, which is the town outside of Chichen Itza, there's taxis there, so that's fine. And they're not too far from Chichen Itza, so that would be fine as far as like taking the ADO bus. I think we looked up, the ADO bus would have been, I think like 800 pesos per person round trip. So we rented a car because we were like, oh, well, maybe it'll just be cheaper to rent a car than pay for, you know, round trip tickets. But we did not really understand the cost of, like, you know, then we have to pay for tolls and of course gas. So keep that in mind. If you have like more than 2 people and you can split the gas and split the tolls and split the car, then I would say probably rent a car, you know, because then you could have more flexibility if you wanted to. There's not really any places to stop along the way, at least from the road from Playa to Piste and Chichen Itza. There wasn't really a ton of stops, but you could have like a little bit more flexibility, I feel like, with coming and going from, you know, Chichen Itza and not having to pay a taxi. So there's kind of pros and cons to both sides of it. Since I'm talking about the rental car, we rented from a place called, let me bring it up, Price Auto Rental, and it's downtown, downtown Playa. It's like right off of 5th. But we really liked them. It was super easy, super quick. The car was really nice, taken care of. For 24 hours, it was, I think, 11 or 1200 pesos, so that's like 60 bucks. Not bad. They did charge us an extra 100 pesos because we returned it like literally 10 minutes late, so keep that in mind. I think she said like every hour after returning it late, like up to 3 hours, they'll charge you 100 pesos, and then if you're like later than 3 hours, then they'll just charge you an extra day. Yeah, anyways, so we really liked them. That's where we rented a car from. We had a horrible experience with Hertz, the car rental service here, so we were just trying a new one. So I'm kind of glad that we did, because I'm sure we'll rent a car from them in the future. So that's the kind of the upsides and the downsides of renting a car, and kind of the travel to get there and back. You also have to pay for parking at the Chichen Itza site, which I think was 80 pesos for a car per day. So that's another cost associated with renting a car if you're going to do that. So all in all, if you're renting a car, pay for car rental, pay for gas, pay for the tolls, and pay for parking, versus taking the ADO bus, which is about 800 pesos round trip, but you don't have to pay for tolls, you don't have to pay for parking, and you don't have to pay for gas. So just keep that in mind. I think next time maybe we will go the ADO bus route, or there's also tour buses as well that will take you up and then bring you back to your resort if you're coming to stay in like a hotel. So keep that in mind as well. We went in October, so we were there October 14th and 15th of 2023. The weather was actually very nice. It wasn't too hot. We went to the night show, which I'll get into in just a second. I was kind of surprised actually at the lack of bugs. Like, I mean, as far as mosquitoes go, because I get bit like crazy. And we put on a ton of bug spray and stuff during the night show, but during the next day, when we were there during the day, even though it's like kind of in the middle of the jungle, I didn't get bit and I didn't put on any stuff, so that was kind of nice. So if you are going to the night show, I definitely recommend putting some on, because I think maybe that's what saved me, was putting on all that stuff. I don't know if I would have, not put it on, if I would have gotten bit, whatever. Okay, so I'm gonna just run you through the trip in chronological order, since I already talked about the driving and the transportation and all of that, so you guys can kind of get like the gist, and I'll just explain like my thoughts like as I go. So we stayed at the Hotel Chichen Itza. It was like, I think total with taxes and everything, about $100, maybe like $97, I think, for one night. And we booked through booking.com. I'm not sure if they have a phone number. I don't know if they have one or not, but I would recommend calling them instead of using booking.com. You might get a cheaper price. Anyways, it was such a nice hotel. Everybody was so nice. They had a nice pool. The rooms were very like traditional. It must have been a hotel for a very long time. It's like a tiny bit outdated, but it's very charming, super cute. Like I said, very traditional. They have a bar and a restaurant. The rooms were nice and comfortable. There's like little dogs that will like run around the property, which you saw in the vlog. And it was very nice. It was fairly priced. There are other hotels, but we didn't stay there, so I can't speak to that. There wasn't a ton of other hotels, just keep that in mind. But the one that we stayed at was very nice and super cute, and everybody was so helpful. And we didn't have dinner at the hotel. We had breakfast there though, because they had breakfast included. And the breakfast food, the omelet that Sergio had was so good. Like, seriously, probably the best omelet ever. They had like different salsas and stuff that I've never had before, but it was so good. And I had pancakes, and they were so fluffy and so good, and they bring you out coffee and juice and fruit, so you could definitely eat to your heart's content there. The staff was super friendly, beautiful, just a beautiful property all around, so highly recommend staying there. They have a lot of parking as well, so don't worry about that. And they're like a 5-minute drive from Chichen Itza, but we noticed that there's actually like, you could walk there pretty easily, probably in like 15-20 minutes. There was a sidewalk that went from across our hotel all the way to the Chichen Itza site, and it looked to be like pretty safe, so you could walk if you wanted to. But so if you were like taking the ADO bus or whatever, that would be an option. But so the Hotel Chichen Itza, wonderful, loved it, would stay there again. We checked into the hotel and we got dinner at a place called Las Mestizas, I think is what it's called. I put the menu clip in the vlog, but their food also very good, very like Yucatan specific meals, which was really nice actually, because I feel like in Playa del Carmen we don't have a ton of like, it's a pretty relatively like new area, so there's not really a ton of like regional foods, in my opinion. I don't know if I'm just being ignorant, but so it was really nice to like have some regional foods. So highly recommend that restaurant. The prices were not too bad. They were just like eating out prices. The staff was really lovely. They were playing ABBA, so a win. And it was right across the street from our hotel also. so we could just walk to it. After dinner, we went to the Knights of the Kulukan show. That's in Mayan, so I'm probably butchering that. But this is kind of the part of the trip that we were talking about it. We both have like mixed opinions about. On the one hand, it was a really cool show. It was 750 pesos per person for the ticket, and it's a 30-minute light show. So it's not a crazy long show, but they won't let you in until like 7. And the show started, on their website it says that they sell tickets until 8 when the show starts, but the show started at 7:50. So they let us in at 7, and we walked around. There was you could go to the main, so Chichen Itza is a huge area. Obviously it was a popular city back in the day, but there's the pyramid, and then there's a few other sites that they had lit up. I'll insert a clip here actually of kind of what it looks like. And there was also some in the vlog, but they had the place lit up, and it was really pretty to look at. But they kind of ushered you along. You couldn't really spend that much time looking into each thing. They just were kind of okay, move on, you saw it, keep going. So we sat down, so we were only walking around for 30 minutes or so, trying to take pictures, whatever. And then at 7:30 we sat down. The seats were very close together. They were just folding chairs, and you're assigned a ticket number, which I recommend getting your ticket as early as you possibly can if you are going to go to the night show, because I think it's dependent on where you're sitting. I think is dependent on who gets issued their ticket first. We sat in the front row. It's just folding chairs, and they put them so close together. I was basically shoulder to shoulder with this woman, sitting next to me, and Sergio was close to his seating neighbor. So I'm not quite sure how the people behind us saw, because they weren't raised, and it wasn't spread out. So I would recommend getting there early, because hopefully then you'll get in the front row. We got our tickets as soon as we got to Chichen Itza, so it was probably 5 or so that we bought our tickets. So just keep that in mind. But then the light show started, and the presentation is in Spanish. I know I talked a little bit about this in the actual vlog, but I just wanted to touch on that here as well. The presentation was in Spanish. I was trying to get footage, which was kind of a waste because it was beautiful and lit up very nicely, but cameras were not picking it up. It wasn't enough light for the cameras to pick it up. The girl sitting next to me in her chair I took a peek because she was trying to film it on her phone, and nothing was showing up. It was a really beautiful production. The sound quality was amazing. The music was incredible. The projections were amazing. They had all of the other landmarks around the pyramid, because it's projected onto the pyramid, but there was other sites around the pyramid, and they were lit up in conjunction to the show, and it was really cool. And Sergio was next to me after he was telling me all the facts that they were talking about, and he really enjoyed it and got a lot out of it. So it was really a cool thing. However, this is where it's kind of hard, because the tickets were very expensive for what it was, I feel because 750, that's kind of a lot. That's I don't know, $45 for a 30-minute show, and the walk around beforehand wasn't I don't know, you couldn't really walk around. They kind of were ushering you. So I don't know, I feel if they offered something else in conjunction to the show, if they had exclusive, because their entire thing was shut down, so if they had exclusive merch that you could buy, or if they had a photographer that was taking your pictures and you could download them, or if they offered a snack or something, I feel something else in conjunction to the show, I think it would have made it worth it. I'm glad that we went and saw what it was like, and like I said, don't get me wrong, it was beautiful. It was like a really cool production, and it was very good, but I think it was a little too high, especially if you were sitting in the back like 2 rows. I just feel like they couldn't see anything, so I don't know. I'm not sure if anybody's professionally filmed it on YouTube or something, but go look it up and see. It was really cool, but it just was kind of a lot, so just keep that in mind. Anyways, beautiful show. Then we went home. Then the next day we got up, we went for a little morning swim like you saw in the vlog, and then we ate breakfast and we headed to the actual Chichen Itza site at like 8:30ish. They open at 8. On Sundays, Mexican citizens, which Sergio is, get in for free. This is what their website said, okay? Was that Sundays, everybody who wasn't a Mexican citizen could get in for 450 pesos compared to their 600 peso rate during the week and weekends. And then Mexican citizens could get in for free. But when we got there, Sergio got a free ticket. He stood in a separate line, and then they would hand out, like, they would check your ID and then verify that you were a citizen, and then hand you a little card that you could take to the ticket desk, and then they would, like, give you your ticket. It wasn't a free ticket. He had to pay the taxes and fees, so it ended up being 90 pesos for him, which is obviously still better than the prices that they were charging. And they no longer do reduced rates on the weekends. They have to update their site. We paid, for my ticket, it was like 600 something, 630, I think, pesos. It was like the normal rate. So they no longer do reduced rates on weekends, which I wish we would have known about. I mean, it was still good that he got a cheaper entry, but no reduced charge on Sundays for me. He had to pay 90 pesos for taxes. And we also had to pay for parking, obviously. There also is another hidden charge, which I didn't know about. Sergio we brought the GoPro and my video camera with us, and I put the GoPro into Sergio's backpack, and they have security, but they weren't really checking anybody's bags. But I was carrying my video camera, and it's like a kind of like an older one. It's like a Y2K one. So I was carrying that one, and since they saw it, they made me pay, I think it was 50 pesos for professional cameras to be allowed to enter, which I thought was kind of funny, because if I had a DSLR or whatever, then sure, I understand, because if you're gonna take pictures and then sell them, and make money off of them, they kind of want a piece of that, which is fine, totally understand. They didn't check his backpack, so I didn't have to pay for the GoPro. I just had to pay for my camera. So if you are taking cameras in there, I don't know, if you're taking little dinky video cameras, then just put them in your bag, and then if they tell you to pay it, then pay it. It's only 50 pesos, like I said, but it was just one extra thing. It was a beautiful sight. We went in the morning, so there wasn't a ton of people there. The weather was really nice. We stayed from 8 to noon, so about 4 hours. So there wasn't a huge crowd yet. The vendors, this is the kind of the crazy thing is there were so many vendors there who were all selling basically the same thing, but it was hard to kind of take in the beauty of it and all of that, because there's vendors crowding the paths and obviously hustle, right? But it's almost one of those things where it's you wish that they could sell those things in their storefronts, in Piste. Piste was a very kind of a sleepy town, very it didn't really seem targeted to the tourists, which is fine and good, because obviously people live there, but it just made walking through and enjoying yourself a little bit difficult, because there were so many people pitching you their products, and they're all the same, and then it was just kind of a little bit overwhelming, because you want to take in the history and you want to appreciate it, and there's just hundreds of vendors. So, but overall it was really nice. I do recommend taking a tour, buffering in enough time. We didn't know if we were going to have enough time to do a tour, but I highly recommend. It's a big property, so we didn't want to we didn't know if we were gonna have enough time, but the plaques that are offered there, they're poorly translated into English. There's Mayan, English, and Spanish on the plaques, but there's very few and far between plaques that didn't really give a ton of information. So either watch like a tour. There's a few tour videos of Chichen Itza on YouTube. So either watch it before if you're not going to have enough time to like actually get a tour, so you can kind of like remember what the tour guide in the video was saying, so you could kind of get the full picture, because there's some really, really cool facts that I didn't know until after we had gotten home and we were watching a tour, and I wish we would have known there so I could like appreciate it more. But if you have time, take a tour. It'll be an extra cost, of course, but I think the experience would be so much better with the tour guide, to give you all of the facts and all of that, because like I said, the plaques were not very good. I was kind of betting on the plaques being decent, and they really weren't. So just keep that in mind. Highly recommend doing a tour. For like accessibility for people like in wheelchairs or with like walking difficulties or anything like that, I would say the main part of Chichen Itza is very flat. It's like a gravel road / grass. So if you had somebody pushing you in a wheelchair, I think it would make do. Maybe with like I don't know, like there's like specific wheelchairs that are like all terrain, but I think that would make do. There are like paths that you can take off into different sections of Chichen Itza, which are a little bit more bumpy and with like, you know, branches and rocks and stuff that it might be difficult to get through. If you don't have like a legit like all-terrain kind of like wheelchair, I'm sure you could do it, but it'd be kind of bumpy ride. But for the most part in the main area, it was pretty flat. Oh yeah, that was kind of the brief overview. It was really a fun trip. We were there for such a short amount of time. That was, you know, that's another thing that we would probably do differently is if we took like the bus or something, I feel like we would be, you know, more relaxed, I feel like, because we were worried about getting the car back home. But overall, it was a really cool trip. I would go there again. My family might be coming for Christmas, so that'd be kind of fun to go with them to go see. Recommend like top things is like go in the morning. When we left at like noon, it was getting to be pretty hot and it was very crowded. So if you want good pictures, good weather, get there at like 8:30, short lines, things like that. There's a gift shop and a little cafe and stuff. So you can bring your water and food in, I'm sure, but there are places to also buy that there. But yeah, overall, it was a really cool trip. I would definitely go again with a tour guide this time. There is a train that's opening in December, I think, that's connecting a lot of the ruins by train travel. So that would be kind of cool. Maybe when that opens up, we'll go back, just so we'll take a little bit more time and kind of test out the new train that's coming. So anyway, stay tuned for that because we definitely want to take a train trip when it opens up later this winter. But yeah, anyways, I don't know how much more I can say. I just wanted to include a little recap of the trip at the end and just let you know kind of what I would recommend, what we wish that we did different. And yeah, so anyways, I hope that you guys enjoyed this vlog. And we'll catch you in the next one.